Well, hello everyone. My name is John Brenneman. I'm the president here at MOAA Vacations, joined today by our good friend Mandy McCartney with Uniworld Boutique River Cruises. I actually just got off a Uniworld cruise. We did a MOAA Signature Group highlights of Eastern Europe. This is actually the group picture we took on board. Great looking group. This year, as it is, and I'm sure Mandy will talk about this, is Uniworld's 50th anniversary. So we actually had a gold party on board. And as you can see, a lot of people were dressed in gold for that evening's event. I just thought I would share this because I literally just took this picture a few days ago. I can't recall where we were, somewhere on the Danube. How about that? Anyway, I'd like to start out at the beginning of the thing and kind of give everybody kind of an idea of what's going to go on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about MOAA and MOAA signature groups. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mandy. She's going to talk about Uniworld for those of you who may not be familiar with Uniworld Boutique River Cruises. And then she's going to talk about our 2027 MOAA signature group, Castles Along the Rhine. We're going to kind of take a little deep dive into that. And then at the very end, we're going to do a Q&A. As soon as I get done kind of with my intro portion, I am going to turn my camera off and I will be answering questions while Mandy is giving her information. And then at the very end, we'll revisit all of your questions. We are recording this, so this evening, everyone will receive an email, which will have a link if you want to rewatch this video or share it. We did start right at the top of the hour. So if during the webinar, let's say when you're just interested on the details of Castles Along the Rhine, if you make a note that, say 35 minutes past the hour is when Mandy starts talking about that, then when you get the link to rewatch the video, you can just fast forward to that part of the video. Okay, we do have a number of people that are on today's webinar that this is their first webinar. They are new to MOAA Vacations. So I thought I would take just a second and kind of let you know what makes MOAA Vacations unique. The first thing we talk about is our superior level of service. We do a concierge level of service. I could kind of explain this a number of different ways, but kind of the way we talk about it that kind of summarizes the whole thing is we do travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. If you have a problem either before or during your cruise, your land tour, whatever your vacation plans are, you will speak directly to me in 90% plus of the cases, and then I reach out to our friends at the various companies. Like if there was a Uniworld issue, I would speak to Mandy. If I am traveling abroad, escorting a MOAA group, you may speak to Mike Tyrell, who's the vice president here. Point being is, should you have an issue or concern, you immediately go to one of the top executives here. We'll get it resolved. We do guarantee the lowest price. It's pretty straightforward. In fact, and a lot of times we have prices that are lower than the lowest price. The travel industry is known for having a lot of different discounts out there, so it can kind of get somewhat confusing. When we talk about discounts, we're talking about a price that is lower than you could get from going direct to the cruise line or the tour company or going to another travel agency. So true discounts. Whereas, there are cruise lines out there, one in particular I always pick on, that from the very beginning, their very first ad, they've always had 2-for-1 pricing or 50% off and free airfare, which sounds like a great deal. But if you've been making that same offer for 20 years, it literally is almost their base price rather than a discount. We do have a free amenity program. Uniworld participates in this. If you go to Uniworld's website, you can pick any cruise, any departure date that Uniworld has, and whatever price you see on their website, MOAA members get an additional $100 per person discount off that price. That's in recognition of your past and continued service. And we appreciate Uniworld participating in this program, which we have with a number of cruise lines and tour companies, where they actually have an amenity program, an additional discount, an additional amenity just for MOAA members. And one thing I'm going to bring up, because I'm at this point here, everything we offer applies to MOAA members and anyone traveling with you. And there is no limit on this. So let's say you were going to go on a cruise and you brought your neighbors. you would get the $100 discount. They would get the $100 discount. If you did some kind of family reunion cruise and there was 20 cabins going, anyone traveling with a MOAA member gets the MOAA amenities. So it is nice that our partners like Uniworld allow us to offer that to not only the members, but the members' traveling companions. And then the last thing is obviously something we're going to speak about at more length today, which is group opportunities, the opportunity to join your fellow MOAA members from across the country and travel together. And I'm going to tell you, I just got off one of these signature groups, and they are unbelievable when it comes to the camaraderie. The connections that you have, the ship had 120 let's say members on board, the connections that members have that are like unknown until you get on board. I mean, you might see somebody you served with 20 years ago, and that does happen. But you also have the fact that, once you get on board, they're all friends you just haven't met yet because you're all MOAA members. You all have the same background. But, you have people, know people, we served in the same theater at the same time, or, they have these connections. In fact, interestingly enough, on this cruise, one of the things we do on the signature groups is we hand out passenger manifests because people want to keep in touch after they get off the cruise. We literally had people that houses almost backed up to each other that never met before. When they saw the address, it's like, you live on Main, I live on Ash, kind of catty corner back to each other. Just those types of things that you have. Okay, so that is the kind of group thing, but the MOAA signature groups, I know I kind of led into this already. We have literally hundreds of groups that we have available. But the MOAA signature groups are kind of what I refer to as groups on steroids. And if you see the three pictures on the top of this, these are three separate groups that we also did with Uniworld. We have done, I think it is 12 signature groups with MOAA since we did the first ones in 2019. And one of the things that makes these so special is MOAA leadership and staff are on board. On this last cruise we were on, we had General David Perkins on board. He's on the MOAA board of directors. And one evening he gave a talk about, it was so interesting, everything that MOAA has done fighting for the rights of military personnel. He had to get 10, 12 different rounds of applause as he went through all these different things. It's just such a great addition to it. They are pretty much all inclusive, at least as all inclusive we can make them. We do have exclusive onboard events. Friends and family are invited. It's important to note, I said in the last slide, that anything we offer MOAA members is available to people traveling with you. We want your vacation to be fun as possible. So let's say you decide you want to go on the Castles Along the Rhine. If you want to bring, kids, grandkids, friends, neighbors, whatever it is, if you want to bring them along and it would add to your enjoyment, we absolutely welcome you to invite them. In fact, I don't think we've ever done a signature group without several people bringing along non-members. And they are rare opportunities. We only had 2 signature groups this year, one of which was like the aforementioned highlights of Eastern Europe river cruise. Next year, we have 4 of them. Only one of them is a river cruise. We also have a land tour and a couple of ocean cruises, but they're rare. It's not like we do these in great quantity. And one of the things I always want to go back and I mention one of these signature groups is we are holding the entire ship for Castles Along the Rhine. So when you get on board, everyone you meet is going to be a fellow MOAA member or a guest of a member, which really adds a lot to the cruise. And it's not just the camaraderie, it is the respect and consideration that MOAA members have for fellow MOAA members. If you've traveled a lot, we've all run into the people that are just not pleasant to travel with, self-centered, late for the transfers, whatever it may be. We do not get that with MOAA groups. These are your fellow officers. And as I said, the best terminology I have it is the respect and consideration they have for their fellow MOAA members. Okay, so this next slide is kind of just a kind of preview. I think most people know The signature group we're talking about is this Castles Along the Rhine cruise. Mandy is going to talk about it in a lot more detail, so I'm not going to talk about it in a lot of detail here, but just kind of give you an idea. Here's the cruise. And one of the things we found a few years ago that we started doing, is this next slide shows, is a lot of members who fly all the way over to Europe are looking to be there for longer than 7 nights. A lot of people go off on their own. They have family members who may be stationed over there, or people that they've known from when they were stationed, or just places that they want to revisit. But we do put together custom MOAA pre's and posts if you're interested. These are done through a company called Insight, which is a sister company of Uniworld, and the fact that they're both owned by the same brand. It's called the Travel Corporation. They have like 26 different brands. But anyway, these are Insight vacation trips, and everyone on the bus will be a MOAA member who's going on the cruise. We did a 5-night pre in Belgium and a 5-night post in Switzerland. I think the next slide isn't that. We have a website where all this information's on it, so I'll get back to that in a second. I mentioned we have the entire ship. This is actually, the next slide is a picture of the deck plan of the ship. You can see as the cabins are sold, we put a little stop sign on them, or an elongated stop sign, I guess, on them to show that they are taken. So we have every cabin on the ship. And unless another MOAA member has already booked it, you are free to book that. This next slide shows the pricing. We have pricing 2 different ways. So the 7-night cruise, you would fly into Amsterdam, and then you are transferred to the ship, which is actually on the river, on the Rhine River, but it's actually in called Arnhem. So if you were to do just the 7-night cruise, we just want to make sure everyone knows you will not actually be in Amsterdam, other than looking out the window as you drive from the airport to Arnhem, where you'll get on the ship. Uniworld offers a 2-night pre, which ends up making it a 9-night cruise. And as you can see, we have pricing for both options, either the 7-night cruise only, or the 9-night with the 2-night Amsterdam. This is on the website as well. And then this next picture is kind of a screenshot of the website. And a couple things I want to touch on here. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll send you a link to this, but we do put together websites on every signature group. If you can read the tabs across, it's pricing and accommodations. So it shows the price, once again, that we just saw for all of those different accommodations types. But if you scroll down on that tab, it actually has a picture of all the different cabin and suite types and a description. There is a day-to-day itinerary on it, which goes through day to day, which not only shows the itinerary. Mandy's going to talk about this. Shore excursions are included. It shows which those shore excursion options are. The inclusion tabs list everything that's included. And then the pre and post is where you can go in. And if you were interested in that pre or post, you can see a day-to-day of what's included in that pre and post as well. And then terms and conditions. And the last thing I want to talk about is the book now. And when you are ready to book, we ask you to click on that book now. We had 195 people, I think, sign up for this webinar. Granted, there's only 40 some that are watching live, but as I mentioned, this evening, we're going to send this webinar out to everyone. So we'd like to, if you remember that deck plan of the previous slide, we kind of like to set a date and time order for people to select. So let's say halfway through this presentation, you decide you absolutely want to go on this. If you click on that book now and fill out the information, it's really just your contact information. Name is on your passport, date of birth, street address, email address, and phone number. You'll be contacted and you'll be allowed to pick the cabin that you want. And then the second person who signs up and goes like that, to kind of create some kind of sequencing to decide when you get a pick. As you may have noticed, one of the cabin categories is already sold out, particularly in the suites, in what they call the classic rooms. There are a very limited number of cabins. So in particular, if you're looking at either the classic room, which is the most economical, or one of the suites, please get back to us as soon as you can. Okay, so that is kind of very quickly my information. And I'm going to turn it over to Mandy, turn my camera off. I see we already have a question, so I'm going to answer that. But keep in mind, any questions you have, just drop them in the Q&A. If you don't see the Q&A, at the bottom of your screen, there should be a number of icons. If you don't see one that's like a conversation bubble that says Q&A, you'll see a circle with 3 dots in it that says more. If you click on more, then you'll see all the icons and you will find that Q&A link. I will answer them during Mandy's presentation, and then Mandy will answer them as well during the Q&A. So Mandy, take it away.
Okay, thank you for having me, John, and everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm reporting live from beautiful Boulder, Colorado, where we are in the low 80s today. So it feels great out there. Sun is shining. I hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. I feel very fortunate to represent this awesome company. I know every salesperson is going to get in front of you and explain to you how they're representing the best in the business, but I want to make sure I'm very credible to you all today and show you exactly why Uniworld is the best in class for river cruising. As John mentioned, you could see that picture when we first started the show. We're celebrating our 50th year with having a gold party on board. So we've been in the business for over 50 years now, longer than anyone else on the rivers. So I think that gives us so many different opportunities to provide a really exceptional experience to you all that choose to travel with us. In regards to the ships, the relationships on the rivers, every single aspect of this cruise is refined, and there's so many special experiences that you're going to have along the way that I won't even get a chance to tell you about. Just wonderful surprises await you whenever you travel with Uniworld. I did have some highlighting here on this sheet. I think it's a very powerful marketing piece. They make my job very easy today with this marketing piece. As you can see, we've got a couple of the other guys that are on the rivers, haven't been there as long as us, but are considered our competition. But we are checking all the boxes. As you can see, the 2.4 to 1 average staff to guest ratio, 2.4 people on board there to serve you. Just whatever you need on board, you just ask. You should want for nothing when you're traveling with us. We are the all-in luxury option. We want all your needs to be met and exceeded while you're on board with us. That's our goal. That's the expectation, is your expectations to be exceeded. So another thing I wanted to highlight on this document was the gratuities. All the gratuities on board are included, as well as the excursions. You're going to have anywhere from 2 to 5 excursions a day to choose from, and you can do them all if time allows. That is included, as well as bicycles, Nordic walking sticks. You can, do the excursions, or you can go into town and experience the port on your own terms. So it's really flexible. We want you to have the vacation that is best for you. I also wanted to mention the laundry, especially if y'all are going to be doing the the 5 nights before the trip, or even the 2 nights, or the post, or even just the 7 nights on board with us. We're going to have that laundry on board for you to be able to do. You just go up to the front desk. They'll give you all the supplies you need, the laundry detergent and dryer sheets, and there's no fuss, no coins. You can do your laundry while you're on board. Also 24-hour room service, which is wonderful. I highly recommend. I did the Bordeaux cruise with my 18-year-old daughter last month, and I ended up getting room service delivered, had breakfast in bed, and a mimosa, of course, as well, because we do have the drinks included as well. And I'll go into that here a few slides away from this point. We also have sommeliers on board, and that really brings the wine to life for you. I was never a big wine drinker until I started experiencing Europe. And when you go on a cruise with us here at Uniworld, you're going to have these sommeliers telling you this history of the vineyard that's been passed down generation to generation, and doing recommendations for pairings while you're on board dining with us. So let me introduce you to the incredible ship that you're going to be sailing on, the Antoinette. In addition to many of the things featured during that incredible video, I did want to point out a few other things. There's so much to tell you about each one of our ships. Keep in mind, there's only 19 ships in our fleet, and each one, as the video said, is designed specifically for the region in which it's sailing. So this incredible Antoinette ship is actually designed for the Rhine. And by the way, this itinerary is our top seller. This is a very, very highly reviewed itinerary, and this ship is phenomenal. So you're going to have a maximum of 152 people on board. Remember, these are your MOAA future friends. If you don't already know them, there's an elevator on board, several lounges, a 22-seat theater, and yes, there is a popcorn machine in there, an old-time popcorn machine, very charming, a 24-hour gym. There's coffee, tea, and cookie stations throughout. And even if you're not a big cookie lover, you must try the homemade recipe cookies that they have throughout the ship. They're just phenomenal. And as the video showed, that chandelier with the sapphires, that was actually from Tavern on the Green in New York. And throughout the ship, it's like a a museum. I mean, there's unique original art on board, as the video showed, those mosaic tiles. It's just a floating boutique work of art that you're going down the Rhine on the top selling itinerary. And that top deck is one of my favorite spots, but also, as you can see, there's this pool on board and the back of the ship, as well as the Leopard Lounge, which is an absolutely wonderful experience. Keep in mind, you're going to have a premium bar selection, as well as each room on board being different. Each design is different, whether it's a classic room, a balcony room, or a suite. Each ship and room is going to be different. So you'll kind of find yourself walking down the hallway, kind of peeking in to see what the other accommodations look like, because it is so unique and truly a boutique experience. As I mentioned, you're going to have the original art on board, as well as fresh flowers. Your rooms are going to be equipped with heated floors, heated towel racks, heated mirrors. Gosh, it's hard to come home after having an experience with us here at Uniworld. And I also wanted to mention the responsibility in regards to this beautiful world we get to travel in. We have so many incredible initiatives that I could do a whole 30-minute show on them. But we do have plans to be carbon neutral by 2050, and we have no single-use plastics. So you'll see places to fill up your water bottles throughout the ship that we, of course, supply those water bottles in your room. You'll see those upon check-in. And in addition to the premium beverages and the all-inclusive nature of your adventure with us, the cuisine is phenomenal. Being in the travel industry, I've been very blessed to have some really incredible culinary experiences. And I want you all to know I have been consistently impressed by our cuisine. I have gone into ports where I usually like to eat local. And I oftentimes can't wait to get back on the ship because our food is so incredible. I think that is such a rare experience to have. And I think the reason why, one of the many reasons why our food tastes as good as it looks, is because it is truly farm to table. We are sourcing all of our ingredients 30 miles from embarkation point. And if there's supplies needed along the way, we've got those relationships. We've been in the business for over 50 years. Oftentimes, when you're in a port, you'll see the team gathering supplies from the port and carrying on bushels of fresh carrots or whatever that locally inspired regional menu is going to require for the evening or the next day's menu. So it's really an incredible experience to eat on board, in addition to having that sommelier making the perfect pairings. But keep in mind, if you're a steak and potatoes person, or if you have different dietary needs, whether it's celiac, gluten-free, everything in between, our team on board is going to make sure you are accommodated. You will have a menu given to you. If you have any dietary needs, just let John know, or just let the team know when you're on board, and we'll make sure we meet those needs for you. And we're also going to have a light menu, as well as I mentioned, the room service available 24/7. We do have the premium liquors included with your journey with us. Really, the only things that you can pay for while you're on board with us would be spa treatments, which are very reasonably priced, by the way. And then also there are some excursions that you can add on. You certainly will never want for anything. We've got a full schedule and all the drinks and adventures that you can possibly imagine. You'll have a full schedule and truly not have any space to fill. But if you did want to, spend a little bit extra on a masterpiece collection excursion or a spa treatment, you certainly could do so. But all of the premium liquors will be included, as well as any mocktails that you would like to enjoy while you're on board. We have several different options and a comprehensive menu to meet whatever needs you have while you're celebrating on board with us. And let's get on to the show. There's so many details I could tell you about why Uniworld is so special and why I'm so grateful to represent them. But let's talk about why this itinerary is so exceptional. Like I said, top seller, right? And as you can see, we've got these, each day you're going to be in a different port. We have one night you're gonna be going out on a night out, and everything that I'm going over today is included. So you won't have to worry about having a bill at the end. You're going to be embarking in Arnhem, and I know John had mentioned unless you do a pre with John, whether it's the 2 night or the 5 night, you're not going to see Amsterdam. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you haven't seen Amsterdam yet, please make sure that you add on one of those adventures, either the 5 or the 2, in advance of this trip through Amsterdam down to Basel, up to Basel. And keep in mind, we are embarking in Arnhem, but that is a huge benefit. This is a very busy time of year to be in this region. It's the most popular time to be in this area. You're going to be seeing those beautiful blooms and the lush green everywhere you look. So we want to make sure that we're giving you the best experience. So we're going to dock in Arnhem to avoid the very heavy river traffic this time of year in this area. And it also positions us really well on the lower Rhine so that we can spend more time in Cologne, which will be your first full day. And we'll have our welcome dinner this evening. But first, you've got to explore Cologne, and you get to do that on your own terms, right? You're going to be able to either go into town and hop on one of our bikes, check out a bike, check out the Nordic walking sticks, and go get lost in town and enjoy your full day there. Or you can take our Old Town walking tour and our expert guide. We only hire the very best. They're going to take you through the market, the city hall. You're going to see this cathedral. You're going to hear about the chocolate and experience the breweries in the region, where I know Kolsch is very popular in this area. And quick tip, you definitely want to put your coaster on top of your glass, because otherwise they're just going to keep pouring you beer. And as well as on board, you're going to have to put your coaster on top of your glass, because they're just going to want to keep filling your glass with the wines of the region on board, of course, all included. So Cologne has such an incredible history. That cathedral that you can see here took over 600 years to complete, and it's the biggest city on the Rhine. And you'll see the medieval gates and hear all about the history with your guide. You're going to see so many different castles as you're perusing down the Rhine with us. There's 40 different castles and ruins perched up on these little hillside towns. And after you leave Cologne, you're going to be entering into the UNESCO Rhine Valley region. And this really gets magical. It's such a special place in our world. Koblenz is an architecture lover's dream. Here you get to see a 9th century basilica. And of course, you're going to have a couple different ways to explore Koblenz. There is a biking tour you can do with an expert, where that'll take you through the different fishing villages in the area and give you a comprehensive tour. And of course, stopping by to sample the local wines, which this region is so well known for. There's also a walking tour that you can take that will take you to the 4th century Roman fort, and you can take that chairlift to the top of the hill to get the beautiful views of the Rhine Valley, as well as the church from the 9th century in this region. And this is where you do the nights out. The Rhinstein Castle visit is a magical experience. It is not open to the public. You're going to visit this with a local expert, and these guides are from the region, and they're so passionate about their history, their culture and what they do. So that really it helps you capture the region in your heart. I think when you have a guide that is so passionate about what they're doing. So you're going to see the drawbridge at the castle, and it's over 700 years old, and just beautiful views, sparkling lights of the Rhine. And then you'll be traveling on to Rudesheim, which is known for Rieslings. Of course, you'll be experiencing Rieslings on board as well as out. If you go do the wine tasting at Castle Volrads, this also is another experience that's not open to the public. They've been selling wines since the 1200s. You'll go into this castle after perusing the vineyards and hearing the history from your guide. And the interiors are so lavish. There are even gold embossed walls in this place. It's just phenomenal. You can also do a vineyard hike in this area. There's so many different ways to stay active and healthy on board with us. So keep that in mind. We've got that 24-hour gym. We've always got hiking and biking available to you. So you can really soak up the region on your own terms and be able to explore the market and see the river from different views, and also explore the wine trails and hear all the history of the region. And of course, enjoying the wine from the vines that are growing all around you. Then you're off to Spire, and this area, I love it. I'm a nature lover. This is such a special place. It's very rural. The locals are so friendly and charming. Rolling hills. You'll have an opportunity to do an old town tour to learn about the history. And then there's also the Secret Garden or the Vinegar Estate visit. And both of them are really magical experiences. The Secret Garden, you're going into the forest to this sanctuary. It's an old grain mill, and it's actually just magical because on the outside it doesn't look like much, and then you go in and you see this incredible collection from the owner, and he'll tell you about his world travels. You'll see these life-size statues. There's photography. He's got so many stories to tell. And then when you just think it can't get any better, then you go out to his award-winning garden, and it's just a magical scene. But one thing I do hear about a lot is also the Vinegar Estate visit. You get to get this tour from the owners, and they've been producing vinegar from premium wines in this area, passed down generation to generation. So you'll be able to go through, hear the history, and learn about the production, and of course, do a tasting, and always have an opportunity to purchase some to take home and enjoy. I think Strasbourg is one of my very favorite places in Europe. It's such a magical town, and it is so picturesque. As you can see here, I think this mentions the giant stork nest, which is just so wild. It seems like a storybook town, and it's got so much culture because it does straddle both Germany and France with history. So you're going to have those French bakeries where you can smell, the incredible pastries that they're so well known for. And you'll also hear the bilingual villagers and see that cross-cultural experience that they have that makes Strasbourg such a special place. The cathedral here is an absolute masterpiece. So you'll be able to do a panoramic tour where you'll also be able to see the cathedral and, of course, hear the history, or an old town tour as well in this region to explore and really experience Strasbourg on the very, very best terms. And then your next full day on your river cruise will be going to Breisach, which you'll be able to experience these beautiful storybook villages in the area. This area is really known for its Pinot Noir. The Alsatian wine villages will provide you with these gorgeous mountain range views. You'll see the beautiful countryside, a lot of different rural villages, but you'll also have an opportunity to do an old town tour in this area as well. And then you'll be heading off to Basel, where you'll disembark. And this is such a cool port in itself. So I do hope you go on to do the post tour with John and the rest of the group. It's hard to have everyone going off to have an adventure and for you to go home, but I know sometimes time only allows so much time to get away. But if you can take advantage of exploring this region, please do, because this area is so special. It's a very sophisticated city. It doesn't have the chaos of tourism, and being able to go on to Montreux and Lucerne and see this area with the local guides, it'll just be such a magical experience. So that concludes my portion of the presentation. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and open this up so we can turn on our video again and see if maybe there's any questions for anyone. John, did you have any come through the
Thank you
chat?
very much. We did have one question. Somebody asked about airfare on their own, and airfare is always something I kind of like to talk about, and then I'll let you take it over. So, for those who didn't read my reply, basically somebody said is airfare on our own. The rates that we list on the website for the signature group, either the 7 night option or the 9 night option, do not include airfare. This is for a number of reasons. We do have the air rate disparity based from people on the East Coast to the West Coast when going to Europe, or actually it's even more pronounced from going from a major gateway to a secondary or a tertiary market, what that air rate may be. Also, another issue, and I know I alluded to this before, typically over half the people that go on any of these signature groups do some type of pre or post. And actually, it's probably closer to 2/3, if not 3/4, will do something, even if it's just fly a day in early or stay a day late or something like that. So, with all that kind of variation with air, as I mentioned, some people will go in and go to Paris or London or who knows where before they go to Amsterdam. So, but Uniworld does have airfare. If you want to book it through them, we are available to assist you. Um, but we are in an environment now with air that I think, for the most part, you're best to book it directly with the airline. Even if you go to Expedia or any one of the brands they own, or if you talk to your travel consultant at MOAA Vacations and they help you find the best flight, which is obviously a combination of schedule and price in most instances, to book it direct yourself with the airline. And the reason for that is, if you're on a cruise and you have an issue overseas, airlines are much more flexible and willing to help you if you book direct with them. I know I have horror stories. I'm sure Mandy does when we travel. But airfare is not included in the price. We'll help as much as we can, but we kind of recommend people book direct with the airline. Is there anything you wanted to add on the airfare, Mandy?
Sure, I think everyone's got to do what's best for them. I can't help but think what my dad would always say. It's nice being able to do business under one roof, because, as he would always say, there's only one neck to choke. So if
There
you
you
do
go.
business with us with the air, including everything, it's all on us. So the finger points at us if you need anything, and of course we're the best in the business. We know what we're doing. We've done deviations, and we're used to it. So we've got a team to help support. But everyone, I know you might have points, or we can always give guidance in regards to what time you need to get there, and the port times and everything, to make sure. I would just make sure that everyone, if they're not going to do that make sure that they're getting in a night early, to make sure that they're not missing that embarkation day. That's so important, because it is a wild world out there, especially with airlines. You never know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess it's important to note, if you purchase your air through Uniworld, it includes transfers. So,
Yes.
yeah. everything's different. We always have a few people that, I mean, well, people do their own. Okay. Are there staterooms available for 3 adults? There are suites that can accommodate three. Not all the suites accommodate triple. So if you are looking for a triple, contact us as soon as possible, just because they're very limited, to the point it's just like 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the ship, that will actually accommodate triples. We've had triples on the cruises before. Mandy, triples?
Absolutely, yes. And each ship is different, so it makes us hard to say, okay, which room does accommodate triples? But absolutely, we do have triples available, and there are some connecting rooms as well. We're just going to have to look at case by case basis which rooms are available. So please do, if you've got any of those accommodations that you require, reach out right away so you can scoop up one of those that are available.
Gotcha. Does the ship have any cabins for single travelers? We often have solo travelers on the signature groups. One of the things that they offer is, if you're traveling solo, you go on a signature group, there'll be other solo MOAA travelers that are with you. And then everyone on the ship is a MOAA member. I know sometimes when people are traveling solo, they want to make sure that they're kind of included. You will absolutely be included on a MOAA group. And as I mentioned, we have other solo travelers. We do offer a kind of a version of a single share. If you are looking to avoid the single supplement and traveling as a single, we can put you in contact with other single travelers, and you guys can talk via phone, text, email, however you guys want to communicate. We just kind of put you in communication with each other, and then you can decide whether or not you'd like to share a cabin. I can tell you that we started this in 2019 with our very first signature group with MOAA, and we had people that roomed together on that continued to travel together, not just on MOAA groups. If you are a solo traveler, it is an issue every time and everywhere you go as a solo traveler. I mean, even hotel rooms. Hotel rooms are sold on a per room basis. So you're paying twice as much for a hotel room as a couple would, or even maybe 3 or 4 if they don't charge for third and fourth guests. There are single rates. So there is a single supplement. It's not a set percentage. If you're looking to travel as a solo, either give us a call at the 800 number or email us and say, I'm looking to go as a single. Let us know whether or not you would be interested in at least speaking to someone about sharing a cabin. But off the top of my head, the single supplement is typically around in the 50% range. So if you see a single rate of 4,000, the single traveler rate is going to be 6,000. But that's just on average. It's going to kind of depend from cruise to cruise. And to get specific pricing, give us a call or drop us an email. What is any impact might the river issues have on the itinerary? If we're talking about the Rhine, and of course we're talking about next year, but as of today, there have been no disruptions on the Rhine River. Disruptions typically occur either mid or late in the season, but not always. And we have an April departure. I do not recall ever seeing river level issues being a problem, particularly in Netherlands with all of their docks and dams and everything. But if there is an issue with the river issues, they're dealt with at that time. But once again, and something else, I just want to reiterate, when we chose this itinerary or this departure date for Castles Along the Rhine, we selected the April 25th date for a reason, and that's because it's the height of tulip season. And so, but it's also an added benefit of the fact that it's such early in the season. But yeah, August, you can never guess. If you've done river cruises often enough, I don't, I've been in this business for 40 plus years. River issues are a problem, typically occur in kind of mid-season, but it can happen anytime. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Mandy, about river level issues.
Right. Yeah. So that there's some things in our control, and making sure that when those unexpected things happened, you want to be traveling with someone that, like us, that's been in the business for 50 years, that has all of those things in place for the what ifs. So as John mentioned, going this time of year, I think you have some protection in regards to that. The snow melt, and having this be such a popular time of year. I haven't seen water levels being an issue at that time of year. It tends to be later in July, August that we run into those issues. But even if it does happen, we've got things streamlined, and we're going to make sure that you're well cared for and have a magical experience with us, no matter what happens. If we have to do some deviations, we know what to do. We've been doing this a long time.
There you go. How much time each day is typical with the various stops? Um, so that seems like a question that is kind of more related to an ocean cruise. And so I'm going to kind of just briefly make sure people understand the difference. So an ocean cruise, I'm just going to go from beginning to end. Ocean cruise, you get to the terminal, you sit in the terminal and you wait to board. Then you're on the ship, and it typically will have a schedule like, we dock at 8 in the morning, we sail at 5 p.m. And then at the end of the cruise, everyone is out of their stateroom and they want you off the ship, relatively early. You do if you've ever been on an ocean cruise, they give you a color, you're purple 4, and they announce when you disembark the ship. And so a lot of people come in with that kind of concept of how the schedule on a river cruise ship would be. A river cruise ship simply is a floating hotel. And so we're going to start at the beginning again. You get to, let's say you're on this cruise, you land in the Amsterdam airport, you transfer to the ship. When you get to the ship, you just walk on board. Imagine walking into an airport, walking into a hotel. You walk in, they are going to ask to see your passport when you board the ship to verify who you are. You don't have any paperwork or anything like that. Once you show them your passport, you check in. Depending on what time you get to the ship, your room may not be ready, but as soon as you step on board that ship, you are a guest of that ship. If you're there before lunch, lunch is included. You can go up to the lounge. Your drinks are included as soon as you get on board. They will watch your luggage. You can get off the ship and explore. And then the ship typically sails like right before dinner. So while you're sailing at dinner, that's when you kind of see the scenery go by. Depending on how far you sail between those two cities, so there is no typical day, it's how far that ship sails. But when that ship gets to its next stop, and the river cruise ships always kind of dock somewhere close to city center, as soon as that ship docks, so let's say it sails on this particular day 3 hours. So it starts sailing at 6 p.m. At 9 p.m., it starts sailing. Once the ship is stopped sailing, you can walk on and off the ship again that evening. So the only time you are not free to walk on and off the ship whenever you'd like is when the ship is sailing. So, the next morning you get up, and let's say you want to go for a jog. My family likes to ride the bikes. You get up in the morning, you get off, you go for a bike ride, you come back, you go to breakfast, you freshen up, you go off on the tour. Sometimes it could be a couple of hours, sometimes it could be 5 or 6 hours, sometimes it's even longer than that. But the key is there is no typical day. And whenever the ship is docked, you can get on and off whenever you want. Mandy, anything you want to add to that?
Sure. We do have the overnights, right? This one does have that overnight where you're able to go out into the castle and experience the region, after hours, and you'll have that guide to feel safe. So a lot of times you're there for a whole day. Sometimes you are there for a window of time. But if you're asking that question in order to plan your day, let John know. I'll make sure he has the schedule of what time we dock, what time we leave, and really all that you have to do is when you leave the ship, you just scan your key card so that they know you're off, and then
Yep.
scan it again when you get back on. Easy peasy, no
More
fuss.
importantly, so they know you're back on.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you want to make sure you scan it when you get off so they scan it when you get back on. Yeah, and I will say one thing, since we're dealing with the military here that has come up, the schedules that they have are the intended schedules. A lot of things
Yes.
can come up. that will change that when you're sailing down the river, but a lot of times want the approximate time. But I think more so the important thing is, you can get on and off anytime the ship is in I don't want to say in port because it's not really in port, but when the ship isn't sailing, you can get on and off anytime you want, and it only sails when it's going between one city and the next. So it is not like an ocean cruise like that at all. And I kind of didn't finish that, because I kind of talked about at the end of the cruise. So at the end of an ocean cruise, at the end of a river cruise, when they'll have you, they need to clean the rooms. The industry term is turn them and prepare them for the people who get on the next one. So they ask you to vacate your stateroom after breakfast, but you can stay on the ship, like you don't have to leave a hotel lobby once you're checked out of your room until it is time to go to the airport to take your flight home or go to the train station or whenever you want to go to your hotel. So once you're out of your room, you're on the ship and you can remain on the ship. And when you're on the ship, you continue to be a guest. So let's say I have a late flight and lunch is at noon. I may have vacated my room after breakfast, but if I'm still on the ship at lunchtime, I can have lunch. I can go up to the lounge. I can have cocktails. I can go up on the sun deck. They'll be watching your bags. You can get off and do that last minute, shopping or do whatever you'd like. So it is not like an ocean cruise. Just think of a floating hotel. And if you're on a hotel, you can check out of the hotel, leave your bags at the bell desk, and then you can wander around the city. You get something to eat, you can get something to drink, whatever you can do. So it is a completely different experience. So will passports be required while on the vessel? You're going to need to show a passport when you walk on the ship. As I said, you go up to the registration desk and they're going to ask to see your passport to verify that that's the name on the room. It is rare that you would need your passport. There are some times that if you go on a specific excursion, they will let you know in advance you need to show your passport to get into this venue. But that's a rarity. Mandy, I don't know what you'd like to add to the whole passport conversation.
Right. I can't think of a time that you would need it while you're out and about with us, just getting on board. But yeah, you definitely want to have your
Yep.
passport and have 6 months of play from
Yep.
your travel dates on it.
Yep. And then one last question, travel insurance. We highly recommend travel insurance. We have a plan that is specifically designed for MOAA members. And I'm going to talk about travel insurance for just a minute because I think it is extremely important. We think
Absolutely.
everybody should get some level of travel insurance, and we have a couple of different options for you. I am licensed to sell insurance in all 50 states. And one of the most important things you have if you get travel insurance is getting your claim paid. And part of the way we ensure that is if you purchase through TripMate, which is the kind of plan that we design for MOAA members, I can actually assist for you. So if you were to have an insurance claim, you contact me, I fill out the paperwork for you. I send it to you. You basically review it. There's a couple pages you sign. If it's like trip cancellation for a medical issue, there is a one-page form that somebody at your doctor's office completes. You send it back to me. I look it over. I used to work for an insurance agency way back before I got into travel, and the people that are doing the claims processing are hourly people who have a quota, and you want everything correct. The very first time you submit that claim form is the easiest and the quickest way to get something approved. And since I am involved with doing the claim forms, I can tell you in the last 10 years, we've only had 2 claims denied. One of them, and both of them were really not denied claims. And one of them, somebody filed a claim, but they did not go see their doctor, so they didn't have an attending physician statement. And in the other one, someone was not traveling because of the health situation with their daughter, and their daughter had not gone and see a doctor. So we did not have all 5 pages of the claim form completed. Technically, I guess you'd say we have not had a claim denied in the last 10 years. And that's the reason you get trip insurance, is if you have an issue that you get your claim paid. And this kind of goes back to the very beginning when we talked about our concierge level of service, is the fact that we provide this or I provide this kind of claims submission assistance. So anyway, an interesting kind of place to end on insurance, which is kind of a negative, but this is something we absolutely need to talk about. If you want insurance, let us know. We can send you a quote. I'm available to answer any questions on the insurance, like the different plans and what they run. Is the insurance normally 10%? Dean, it's going to vary. We have a basic plan, a deluxe plan, and a deluxe plus plan. As you kind of go up the ladder, the price of the plans go up. The easiest thing to do would be to get you a quote. When you get the quote, it has information on what the different plans offer. And if you have any questions, you can give me a call, and I'm more than willing to discuss those options with you. Okay, it is 2:59. I love it when we end right on time. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. As a reminder, you're going to get an email this evening that is going to have information, some more information about what we talked to, but most importantly, we'll have a link to this webinar. We mentioned you can bring friends and family along. If you want to bring, if you have somebody you think might be interested, feel free when you get the video tonight to share that email with them. And so they can kind of watch on their own and see if they want to join you on this Castles Along the Rhine. I don't know if this is bearing the lead. I will be escorting that cruise. I escort a lot of these. So not only will MOAA leadership and staff on board, but I will be on board. And my sole purpose on board is to make sure you have as much fun as possible. So I hope you can join me on Castles Along the Rhine like here. Mandy, take it away with the final word.
Yeah, so one thing I want to mention is how travel has always made my experiences in life richer. Every time I go away, I come back with a new way of living, a new recipe, a new experience that makes me love life even more. There are 12 to 15 locks on this trip, which is an engineering marvel in itself. I love that experience being up on the top, being able to get views of the different castles that you're cruising down the Rhine, over 40 different castles and ruins that you're going to be experiencing. The journey is such a magical piece of this, in addition to the ship and the experiences you're going to have in the different precious little towns that we're going to take you to. So thank you all for considering us for your next adventure. And I know you'll be big fans of Uniworld if you give us a shot and be going on our next trips. I don't know if you've got some other plans for 28, going forward, but for Castles on the Rhine, with the history of castles, the military history, these being sanctuaries for villagers, defense, the headquarters. There's so much history on this itinerary. It's perfect for this group.
That's why we picked it.
You know what you're doing. And the best time of year.
Yes, there you go. Tulip time. There you go. All right.
Yes.
Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. Give us a call or drop us an email. We can be any assistance. Have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.